Hey guys, before we get started, just want to take a quick moment to thank Deer Camp Coffee and Yeti for everything they do to help keep us awake and energized for the whole show to keep you guys entertained. Make sure you subscribe and stick around to all BowHunterPlanet stuff so you can get into chances to win things. And hey, let's have some fun.
The BHP Podcast is presented by BowHunterPlanet.com. Join the hunt.
Support for the BowHunterPlanet Podcast is provided by HHA Sports, Cold Steel Knives, Scott Archery, Burris Optics, Element Outdoors, Reveal Cellular Trail Cams, Deer Camp Coffee. Additional support is provided by Yeti.
Hey guys, welcome to the BowHunterPlanet Podcast. I'm Dave Thomas, your host, along with Tim Mazarana and Kevin Conlon. And today we got Brian on from TenPoint Crossbows telling us about what is going on for 2021. And I'm not gonna lie, Brian, I'm extremely excited. I'm on the website as you're talking with us, and the look, the feel, I'm just so excited for what I'm seeing. This is going to be a great year for you guys.
Yeah, we're also equally excited to be able to, present this new crossbow technology to the customer base. And we've been working very hard in the last couple of years to meet. We listen very closely to our customers and what they are wanting to see in new crossbow models. And the result is two new crossbow models from TenPoint's lineup this year called the Havoc RS-440 and then the Siege RS-410. These crossbows are unbelievably compact. And in fact, we've built the most compact, fastest crossbow ever made in that TenPoint Havoc RS-440.
That is awesome. I gotta say, TenPoint's name in the crossbow industry is top of the line, and I think this just kind of proves why.
Legendary.
I mean, you guys take what people are saying, and I've been waiting for this for years. So congratulations on putting this together, and we'll talk a little bit about the site that's going to be on here in a minute. But there is nothing bad that you can really say about TenPoint and TenPoint's technology. You guys just hit it out of the ballpark every single year. And speaking of scope, so we'll talk about the Garmin in a second. I thought, just looking at the 440 without the Garmin on there, something that I've never seen before, which is actually a camo scope. A scope that matches the pattern of the actual crossbow,
sweet.
Which you never get. And that is actually, I mean, it seems silly, but even that just little detail is just sick looking. And I can't wait to see what this does for you guys performance wise for this year in regards to sales and all that stuff.
Well, and to just mention, we're coming off of a 2020 that for us was basically one of the best years we've ever had in the history of our company in 27 years of doing business. And, we really feel like there's a couple of things going on. The TenPoint brand name and Wicked Ridge has kind of really become synonymous for quality, durability, cutting edge technology, precision, accurate shooting. And then of course, we make all of the bows here in the United States. So I think all of those things, kind of build into these new models that we're presenting for this year. These are definitely some of the most cutting edge crossbows we've ever built, ever designed. They're very much high performance crossbows. In the TenPoint, I'll just give you some general information about our TenPoint 2021 lineup. We have 9 total crossbows in the lineup now, and they range in price from $749 go up to $3,900, but they're all high performance. Our slowest shooting TenPoint crossbow shoots 370 feet per second, and we now have 7 models in TenPoint that shoot over 400 foot per second. Wow. So we're talking tremendous speed, tremendous power, tremendous energy, and that's absolutely going to translate into we expect total pass-throughs in the field when you're shooting an animal broadside. Maximum damage. If that arrow and broadhead combo hits the shoulder of the deer, we actually expect it to do maximum damage in order for, in hopes that you'll be able to recover and harvest that animal. And even in our Wicked Ridge lineup, Wicked Ridge has become a standalone brand in itself at this time. We have 6 crossbows in the Wicked Ridge lineup this year that range from $399 up to $1,099. And these are all high performance crossbows. The slowest of the Wicked Ridges shoots 360 feet per second. And we're now offering 3 models that shoot up to 400 feet per second. So for 2021, between the TenPoint and Wicked Ridge lineup, we've got 15 different crossbow models that are all going to be high performance, fast shooting with a lot of power. And it should be obvious that our engineering and our thinking about crossbow design really revolves centrally around the hunter. We always think about the hunter's experience, and we try to design the crossbows, with respect to the way they function and then also their performance to make it easiest for the hunter to use that crossbow, go out and have a successful harvest.
Yeah, and I can't speak more highly of that. I mean, I'm a ground blind hunter myself, so to have something that is this small, and I'll have you go through the stats in just a second in regards to how small it actually is, but to have something like this small, to be able to work with inside of a ground blind, to have that type of maneuverability is something I think every hunter looks like. And you hit it right on the button. I mean, when it comes to efficacy, when it comes to recovery, doing maximum damage is what's most important. And I think you guys really do take a look at that and try to provide the best products. But if you could you walk us through, so the new Havoc and the new Siege, can you walk us through some of those statistics on the some of those specifications on these new crossbows in regards to length and width and what we can expect from these?
Absolutely. So first, I'm going to start off with the TenPoint Havoc RS-440. It's a very small, compact crossbow. The overall length of the bow itself is just 26.5 inches long, which is, pretty amazing in itself. But it shoots at 440 feet per second. That's not an up to speed. That's a true 440 foot per second speed. We developed a new shorter arrow to be able to, be shot out of this shorter crossbow. It has the AccuSlide safe cocking and silent decocking system that we came out with last year on our three bows for last year. And that's a movable trigger box system where the trigger box travels down the flight rail, grabs onto the string, and then when you crank it up, it cranks the string back and cocks the crossbow. You can also use that cocking device, the AccuSlide, you don't have to take a shot after you're done hunting. If you didn't shoot at an animal, you can actually use that same device to backwind the string down to its rested position, so you can decock the crossbow. And it's a pretty revolutionary device because there's no pawl lever to engage or disengage. Basically, you crank forward to cock the string, you crank backward to let the string down. It's a pretty easy, pretty revolutionary system. Now, the other features of the Havoc that I want to point out, it's a reverse draw platform. First of all, reverse draw crossbows, because the riser's mounted midway up the flight rail, it takes away that front heavy feel that forward draw crossbows have. So where the riser is mounted on the far end of the flight rail on a forward draw crossbow, the riser is actually mounted, about halfway up the stock, closer to your body. Now, what that does is when you shoulder the crossbow, your foregrip hand does not feel that extra weight from the front end, from the bow assembly sitting out on the front end. Because that riser weight is closer to your body between you and your front hand, it makes the crossbow feel unbelievably balanced. So in other words, if you're someone who tends to take offhand shots, that sort of thing, this crossbow is one of will be one of the most pleasurable crossbows that you've ever shot. We designed it, we knew our customers wanted a compact crossbow, And we also knew our customers wanted one that would, for especially the folks like you that hunt in the ground blind, want something that's easy to maneuver. Our goal was to build the most comfortable compact crossbow on the market, period. And we feel like we've done that. And not only have we done that, the crossbow shoots unbelievably fast at 440 feet per second. And we're talking in the neighborhood of over 170 foot-pounds of kinetic energy, which is a tremendous amount of energy for the arrow to have. And that's where, that translates into that speed and then that power, the knockdown power when it hits the animal. Now the Havoc also is only 7.5 inches wide axle to axle when it's cocked. So not only is it very compact from front to back, from butt to stirrup, but it's also extremely compact, in bow assembly width.
Wow. That is extremely small.
I just want to bring out something before we get into the scope part. So one of the things, we test a lot of crossbows and one of the things that happen is some of these companies, as they're going faster and faster and faster, you start getting worried about whether they're going to hold up, to the energy and stuff like that. And one of the things I like about TenPoint is, and you mentioned it a little bit, and I think it's important that you go into some of the engineering and testing you guys do before you put something like this on the market, so people know it's safe for them to use.
I'm really glad that you bring that up because, it's funny in the crossbow world, don't blink because technology is going to change pretty quickly. But if you go back to just 3 years ago, and this is kind of why I made the point about that we have 7 models in the TenPoint line that shoot over 400 foot per second. 3 years ago, we did not, I think we might have had 1 model that shot over 400 foot per second. Even when other manufacturers out there were building crossbows, that had up to speeds above 400 foot per second. And the reason that we were kind of slow to make that speed jump was because we didn't want to do it until we were absolutely certain we could build a crossbow that you could get, a large number of shots on a set of string and cables. When you push these crossbows to these higher speed levels and energy levels, you put a lot more stress, a lot more load onto the parts. And so you really have to do a lot of work in research and development with respect to how your strings are built, what material they're made from. Also, you really need to do a lot of work with your limbs. I think the limbs are kind of the number one issue here because it may be the case that if you had a 185-pound draw crossbow, you could build the limbs in a particular style with a particular inflection point, and they could handle, a certain amount of load. But those same limbs are not going to, once you bump up to draw weights of 220 to 270 pounds, those same limbs are not going to survive it. So we were kind of, we were methodical and deliberate in our design of these new high performance crossbows that go above 400 foot per second, because we wanted our customers, most of our customers are shooters, and many of them do, they don't just take 10 shots a year and put the crossbow away. We have many customers who shoot hundreds and hundreds of shots a year. And we want to make sure that we're producing the highest quality crossbows that are going to be able to take this punishment, this continuous, the higher draw weights and the higher speeds. And so we've been, like I say, we were very careful and methodical in our design process to get to the point where we're at right now. Now, some of this, it includes, we use Gordon glass limbs for all of the limbs for all of our crossbows. Gordon glass has been known, to make some of the highest quality limbs out there for archery. We also use 7075 aluminum, CNC machined aluminum in many of the parts on these 2 new TenPoints. in addition to, CNC precision machining of the cams, of the trigger box, of the flight rail, all of those parts. We do that, in hopes that we produce crossbows that many people are investing in a crossbow. Most people can't just purchase a $3,000 crossbow and then sell it the next year and then buy a new one or buy a new crossbow every year. And a majority of our customers are return customers. So many of them have the experience of the high quality bows we made in the past. We absolutely, had that as our number one focus when designing these two new crossbows, especially the Havoc and the Siege.
That's so good to hear, because like I said, it's so important that people have the confidence that these things are going to hold up, and I have confidence in TenPoint, but I think it's good that, you bring that out and let people know that there was a lot going into this. You just didn't go for the speed without doing all your homework.
Yeah,
absolutely. And, another consideration is string life. These crossbows that are shooting such high energy, high speed, on other manufacturers' crossbows, they're struggling to be able to get 300 or 400 shots total before a string and cable change is needed. With ours, our design, our selection of the materials, the method that our string and cables are made, we can get in excess of 1,000 shots on a string and cable before they require changing.
Wow. Crazy.
That's awesome.
I feel like
which in the long run helps save the customer money too.
Sure.
I feel like you guys did a really good job this year with these bows, because number one, I feel like you guys have always done a really good job with the center of gravity with your bows. And like when you're holding them, it's really actually an incredible bow to hold, to be honest, because it's just the way the weight is moved on it. It's like perfectly centered. And that's one thing I noticed last year, and I was like really pumped about it. But this year, I feel like you guys kind of hit home runs in a lot of spots here, because not only do you have a small compact, bow, but now you added this Garmin on here with a little switch and stuff. So like really you have everything you need at your fingertips when you're in a ground blind, especially. You don't have to maneuver between things or try to figure it out. Now it's literally at the tip of your fingers to be able to get it all done in one sweet package. So job well done here, I guess. Nice.
I appreciate that. We're selling the Havoc RS-440 in a couple of different packages. So you can get it with, we've developed a new crossbow optic for this year called the Evo X Marksman Elite Scope. It has a reticle that goes out to 100 yards. It has large turrets that do not have caps on them, tactical turrets. If you buy the Havoc RS-440 basic package, you can get the crossbow either in a graphite gray, which is kind of a dark gray color. And if you get that one, then the Marksman scope is going to be in black. Or you can purchase, the Havoc in the Veil Alpine camo color. And the cool thing is if you get the Veil Alpine color, then the Marksman scope is actually hydro dipped in that same Veil Alpine camo, so that it matches the bow, and the scope and the bow are very much blend together. And so those two packages are available, but we're also selling, as you guys have already mentioned, what we call our Havoc RS-440 Xero package. And that's Xero spelled Xero. And it's very exciting for us to be able to partner with Garmin. Garmin has, they came out with the compound bow, the digital compound bow sight a few years ago, and now they've set their sights on the crossbow market. And so Garmin has developed this it's called the Garmin Xero X1i range finding crossbow scope. And we have an exclusive arrangement with Garmin to be the only crossbow company who can offer the scope as part of our bow packages for 2021. So not only were we excited about that exclusivity agreement with Garmin, but this crossbow scope is, you hear people refer to things as game changers all the time. This truly is the game changer. It's the first of its kind. This Garmin Xero X1i auto ranging digital crossbow scope. So as I mentioned earlier, well, I'll bring up the stock again in a moment, but I'll give you some features of the scope. So basically the way the scope works, once you hit the trigger button, the scope will actually range your target or animal out to 250 yards away. Now, obviously, you're not going to be harvesting an animal out at that distance.
Right.
I'll explain in a moment why that's going to be helpful to you actually after the shot, that 250 yard ranging distance. But so an animal walks out in front of you, you press the button, the Garmin Xero scope, it's a laser range finding system. It pings it bounces the laser off of the object. In the scope, what you actually see is you'll see a little message that says target acquired, and then it'll give you the range distance, so out to your target. So whether it's 47 yards, 36 yards, you'll see that up in the top corner. And then the scope does, I think, the most amazing thing. It automatically calculates the drop compensation that you need in order to take that shot precisely, exactly to hit dead on. And then it automatically presents to you a single dot inside of the scope.
Wow.
So,
oh man,
what we
I don't
feel
know if
we
you saw all of us, but every single one of us are just smiling ear to ear right now.
I can see. That's awesome.
Every year, hey Brian, every year we designate a 10-point like shooter in our team, and so
that's going to be up
a big
for
fight
debate
this year.
my turn this year.
Oh, yeah.
My turn.
Well, we're going to be debating.
We try to rotate.
Yeah, you guys all may have to get a shot this year.
I think so.
Gosh. I'm gonna take it out west.
Oh man! So, real quick, Brian, can you tell us about how the scope integrates with the bow itself?
Sure. It comes with a Picatinny rail mount, a 7/8 inch dovetail mount, which is what we use on our crossbows. It mounts easily to the scope rail. The special thing about the Havoc RS-440 Xero package, if you purchase that package that comes with the Garmin scope, you'll be able to take advantage of the way that we've designed the stock. So the stock on the Siege RS-410 and the Havoc RS-440 was designed to accept the trigger button and cable that attaches to the rangefinder and scope combination. And that then mounts inside of the stock to where when you have your hands on the crossbow and your hand is around the pistol grip, there's actually a button integrated into the pistol grip. So basically it's minimal movement in order to range your target. All you simply have to do is press that button on the pistol grip, which the animal is not going to see at all. And then you get your ranging and then your auto presentation of the dot, and then you can take your shot. And that's definitely something that's going to be exclusive to 10-point crossbows that come with this Garmin scope, at least the Havoc RS-440 Xero in particular. And if the customers can buy the scope individually, the scope is retailing. My understanding is it retails for $1399.99. Garmin has it available for sale now. There are many dealers that have it available for sale. If a customer purchases, let's say, our Siege RS-410 crossbow that can accept that trigger button, they can then send the crossbow and the scope to us, and we can mount the trigger button inside of the scope, the stock for them.
That's awesome.
So
good to know.
We're very excited about that integration. And in addition, to all of the other exciting things that I could sit here for probably a couple of hours and go through all of the features that the scope has. In fact, it probably has more features than most users are going to actually utilize. But it's always better to have more than not enough. That's how I look at it. So, for instance, it has a shot counter. You can program it so that, after 500 shots or after 800 or 1,000 shots, it'll alert you, and then it'll notify you to change your string and cables.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome, actually.
That's fantastic.
If you're canting the crossbow a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, there's a notification that comes on the screen that alerts you that you're canting it, and in fact it'll tell you by how many degrees it is canted.
Wow, that's crazy.
In addition, so I was mentioning earlier about you can range objects out to 250 yards. So if the customer or the user already has a Garmin GPS device that's compatible with other Garmin devices, I understand that Garmin makes some watches, GPS watches, and some handheld GPS devices. This scope will actually communicate with your Garmin device.
Wow.
So in other words, the deer walks out at 47 yards to you, you take the shot. The scope automatically creates a waypoint and communicates that to your device to let you know the exact GPS coordinates of the exact location where the animal was standing when you hit it. So
dream comes
in it and so it gets better, because so then let's say you hit the giant buck and he runs off, but just before he runs off, and you don't see him anymore, it's like, let's say it's 80 or 100 yards away, but there's a tree. You see the tree, right, that the buck ran by. So then you can after you've taken the shot, you could actually use the scope to range that object, or the tree in this instance that the buck just ran past, and that creates a second waypoint. So not only will it tell you where to go start looking for blood, if you lose the blood, then it'll actually take you to the last location where you physically saw the animal, to try to pick up the blood trail. So that's just a few of the pretty neat features, that it has. I mean, the scope itself is it's basically waterproof. It's water resistant to 30 meters for 30 minutes.
Wow.
So rain is never an issue. Never an issue. Rain is not going to be an issue. Even if you drop it in the creek, it's not going to be an issue.
So to your knowledge, does it have an alarm on there that will wake me up if the deer comes in?
I was just thinking about it. I was like, the future of this is that, people are going to expect the bow companies to help me with the full process of getting a deer. So I shoot it with your bow, and now help me find it. Right? It's almost like you're adding like a tech portion, like it's like going into Apple now or something, right? We're going from just a bow before to a bow that's got like an iPod on it. You know what I mean? Like everything is going to be interconnected.
Brian, these guys need all the help tracking they can get.
Yes, we do.
No comments. Hey, Brian, so customers know what to expect when they're taking this out of the box for the first time. Is the Garmin pre-sighted in, or are they going to have to sight it in when it comes out of the box?
So the scope itself has a large digital display. You have the same effect of looking through a regular scope, but it digitally projects the display, inside your frame of view. And it has an automatic, like a step-by-step setup process. So when you get the crossbow, you basically are going to mount the scope onto the Picatinny rail. And then unless you buy one of our crossbows that, like this RS-440 that already has, the trigger and all that sort of stuff mounted inside of the stock, but you'll mount the scope onto the rail, and then Garmin actually created easy step-by-step setup process where the scope itself takes you through the sighting in process and calibration to get that correct drop compensation.
Awesome.
So it actually takes you through an automatic kind of, step-by-step process. And for most people, it only takes 15 to 20 minutes to mount and then actually go through the calibration process. So within 20 minutes, you're basically, shooting the hair off a gnat's ear at 87 yards if you want to be, or 43 yards if you want to be. Wow. But the initial setup of the scope actually will allow for shots out to 80 yards. And of course, from an ethical perspective, we encourage all of our customers to keep the harvest shots, your shots at animals, keep those to 60 yards and closer. However, the high level of accuracy and precision that this scope offers is something that no one's ever yet experienced out of a crossbow before. And so we feel like, the Havoc RS-440 already is an extremely accurate downrange crossbow. I'm talking one inch groups at 60 yards is definitely something that's, not out of the realm of expectation. But when you pair it then with this type of a precision shooting optic, we feel like this crossbow is the most accurate crossbow that's ever been built. Literally, it eliminates a problem that a lot of people have with the multi-line reticles is that it can be very confusing, and if an animal's standing at a yardage distance that's midway from one dot or one line to the next dot or line, then you're going to have to use some, you'll have to gap shoot, you'll have to sort of compensate with the reticle either up or down, or decide whether you're going to use your 40-yard reticle or your 50-yard reticle. Yep. This optic eliminates that need because, like I say, it automatically presents to you the dot based on your ranging. So it ranges at 67 yards. The dot that it gives you is where you will hit dead on at exactly 67 yards.
That's amazing. I was going to say, Brian, some of the, stuff that we've done with TenPoint and just some of the things that we've tested ourselves is incredible power. I was going to recommend, definitely do your, if you're going to buy a TenPoint, make sure you're looking into the right target because it's got some power. And we shot 100-yard shots with this just for messing around practice, and it was incredible. And actually, we missed one time, and it skipped like 100 yards more. It's so much power; it's incredible. And we shot it into a ballistics gel, and crazy. It went right through it. Yep. No other bow went through. Yeah. Gel like this. Now I'm talking like the long way, not like sideways, like the long.
Not 4 inches, like the
right.
It was unbelievable. We did that at hunt camp this year. We're testing some ballistic gel broadheads, and we're like, well, let's use the TenPoint. Big mistake. Like, whoa, that thing just blew right through. It was incredible.
And I'll tell you,
so much power
with this new Evo X Center Punch 16 arrow that we've developed for these two, the Siege and the Havoc crossbows. Because we made the flight rails considerably smaller, we removed 5 inches essentially from our shortest crossbow to arrive at these crossbows that are only 26.5 inches long. When we did that, we knew we had to drop down from our 20-inch arrow down to a shorter arrow because we didn't want the 4 or 5 inches of a 20-inch arrow overhanging the foot stirrup. That can also become dangerous, if you're kind of in one of those quick decision situations and you decide you're going to swing the bow to the right or to the left. It's possible you can knock the end of your broadhead. Yeah. So we basically took our current Evo X Center Punch arrow, which over the past 2 years that we've had this arrow, it's become known throughout the industry as one of the most accurate arrows that's being produced right now. We took that same arrow and we cut off 4 inches from it So these new crossbows, they'll shoot 16-inch long arrows. And we put a little bit different vane configuration on them. It's funny when you go from a 20-inch arrow to a 16-inch arrow, the recipe actually changes. Sometimes the front of center needs to be a little bit heavier, a little bit greater amount, or your vane surface area needs to change. So the Evo X Center Punch 16 arrow we developed, we basically built that arrow to shoot specifically from the Havoc and the Siege crossbows. And one of the really awesome, interesting things about it is we actually found that we're getting a higher level of penetration with the shorter arrow. So in other words, we were taking the same targets that we were shooting using our high-end Vapor RS-440 crossbow, shooting 20-inch Evo X Center Punch arrows out of it. And then we started shooting that same target with the Evo X Center Punch 16 arrows, and the Center Punch 16 arrows were burying.
Wow.
And part of that has to do with there's less distance for the on the arrow shaft, so there's less friction to stop the arrow in place. But I do highly recommend that if someone invests in one of these high performance crossbows, you absolutely have to invest in the proper target to use to stop these arrows, because
lots of testing.
Most targets out there.
Made that mistake here, Brian. We were shooting what we would normally do out at our hunt camp, and realized that very quickly with the 10-point, and had to put 2 targets back to back.
Yeah, it was crazy. We're like, wow. Then we get mad at ourselves because we're like, oh my God, we're ruining the arrow.
Yeah.
The vein.
Right.
Like, oh no! Like, what are you doing? You should know better. It's so funny.
Brian, with all these changes, the speed getting higher and everything, have you guys made some adjustments or recommendations on broadheads then? Because these are a lot faster. Yeah, but I'm saying, did you have to make any adjustments with the broadheads that you were using?
That's a great question, because one of the issues with going above 400 feet per second, and you guys have kind of already touched on it, is the crossbow technology can move that fast, but it begins to actually outpace target technology, broadhead technology, arrow technology. And so when we were in development of these higher performance 400 foot per second crossbows, what we actually did was we looked at 20 different popular crossbow broadheads out on the market. We shot them and we did high speed filming of them, because we wanted to be able to see what was happening to the broadhead, at different points during its flight, and then most importantly, right before it hits the target. Where's the broadhead oriented? We shot different styles of broadheads. We shot front deploy mechanicals, rear deploy mechanicals. We also shot some fixed heads, and our testing showed us that a 2-blade rear deploy design actually was the best performer out of all in a couple of different ways. First off, it groups the best. We got the tightest groups out of the 2-blade rear deploy, and the other part of it is it's a very simple design. Doesn't use any collars, doesn't use any rubber bands or anything like that to retain the blades. And so we developed, from that testing, we developed our Evo X Center Punch broadhead, which is a 2-blade rear deploy style broadhead. Like I say, simple design, no collars, no rubber bands. And it's the beauty of it is its simplicity, because the 2-blade rear deploy style sort of has the 2 blades that scissor open, essentially. When the front ends of the blades hit the animal, it causes the 2 blades to scissor open. Well, one of the biggest issues when you're shooting a 400 foot per second crossbow is having the blades flare open while the arrow is in flight.
Yes.
If the blades flare open or a blade comes open, then you're absolutely not going to be, it's most likely not going to be an accurate shot at all. You may actually see the arrow kind of do a corkscrew through the air. But with our Evo X center punch broadhead, think about, when you're sitting in your vehicle and you're at a red light and it turns green and you hit the accelerator. If you hit the accelerator really hard, it pushes you back in your seat. That, because your momentum, once your inertia is at rest. So this 2-blade rear deploy broadhead, even if one of the blades is slightly open right before you take the shot, when you take the shot, it actually pushes those blades closed in the same way that you get pushed back in your seat in your car. And so what that ensures is that every single time you shoot the broadhead, those blades are going to be in the closed position. And they're going to be in the exact same position as they were on a previous shot. And obviously that's where, the high level of accuracy, I believe it's a 1 7/8 inch cutting diameter we have on our rear deploy style head. And these got very popular last year, the Evo X center punch broadheads, rear deploy mechanical broadheads. We have a lot of customers who, still have some apprehension about shooting a mechanical broadhead. So from that testing that we did several years ago, we looked at what was the best performing fixed blade head. And so we partnered with G5 for them to build for us a special Evo X Montec broadhead. So we already have the 2-blade rear deploy Evo X center punch mechanical broadhead that's been very popular and very accurate. This year, brand new for this year, we're debuting this the Montec G5 broadhead, essentially. But we partnered with Montec on that, and we're offering it under the Evo X brand name.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that on the website. I was going to ask you about that. That looks great. Very cool.
So you have to think of everything when it comes to really pushing the envelope on the technology.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes there are many issues that you encounter that were definitely unanticipated, but that it's been working through those issues and having the extensive. We have a pretty extensive engineering department here where we employ around 5, research and design engineers, mechanical engineers, and then we also have 3 or 4 folks who work just in our research and development department. About 3 years ago, we invested $2.5 million into building just an engineering and research and design center, and in there we have a CNC machine where we can CNC machine any new prototype parts as we're going through the bow testing process. We also have a 3D printer capability where, let's say we want to design a new stock style. We can actually 3D print that stock or 3D print other parts of the crossbows that we can then use for our prototype testing process. So I think that our lineup, the lineup last year, the lineup this year, we're definitely beginning to see the fruits of that significant multi-million-dollar investment, in our engineering and research and design departments.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's looking good. I'm excited for TenPoint. I think this is going to be a great year. I'm excited to get these bows in test labs so we can play with them ourselves because they look awesome.
Me.
Nah, it's going to ship here, Brian.
So I'm gonna send the first one to Tim. Is that what you're saying?
You got it, Brian.
Yeah,
You got it right.
This guy, he got this studio by him. He's long gone. So yeah, well, Brian, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks for letting us know what's going on in 21 here with TenPoint. We're looking forward to another great year, and I know you guys are going to do so well with this lineup. I mean, it is incredible. I just feel like TenPoint's always been the premium bow brand, and again, If you can't afford one of these premium bows, don't worry about it. Like TenPoint literally has you covered. They do have a lot less cost. So if you need something, you still want good power and good quality and good performance and testing and a product that you know is going to last, they still have you covered if you have to spend less money. No worries there. However, if you can afford it, these are amazing, amazing bows. And, this is, top of the line, premier, premium type stuff. So, yeah. Any last words, Tim?
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Brian.
Not only are they built here in America, but we also cover them with a limited lifetime warranty too. And if anyone ever needs any support or assistance, we also are known for having the best customer service in the industry. And whenever anyone calls our customer service department, they're calling us locally here just outside of Akron, Ohio. So
very cool.
Awesome. Yeah. The one question that I like to ask people, but I can't because there's just, I don't even know where you would go from here is, what's next? What can you possibly do better? And we're going to have to wait to find that out because this bow, what you guys are launching this year in regards to the series that you have coming out is just so phenomenal. And like we've said multiple times, and like you said, Brian, you guys have thought about everything when it comes to this. It's not, and we're whitetail hunters, right? So we're in the woods, it's great for us to be able to pack into the woods, maneuver in a ground blind, that kind of thing. But I also think about those guys out west that are doing muleys and doing elk. What a phenomenal package for just absolutely everybody out there when it comes to large game hunting and small game hunting. I mean, you think about turkeys, everything, this thing is going to just be phenomenal. So I appreciate you spending some time on the phone with us today to talk about this. I know we're excited about it. You've seen the smiles on our face, and we can't wait to get it in our hands and to see what this thing is, man. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Very exciting.
Can't wait.
I can't thank you guys enough for giving me the chance to kind of share the information about this new crossbow and, the crossbows, the Garmin range finding scope, all of that sort of stuff. And if folks have more questions, I'm sure there are additional questions of information I haven't covered. I encourage them to go to our website at TenPointCrossbows.com. That's TenPointCrossbows.com for more information, or they can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We provide a lot of information through those social media platforms.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. Thank you guys for listening to the BHP podcast. We'll see you next time.